Hello and welcome to Zgermanguy Reviews. I'm Zgermanguy. Siegfried is the name of a hero from a legend that originated in old Scandinavian and Germanic tribes, which came to be known as the Nibelungen myth. Like Hercules or Odysseus and countless other legendary heroes from ancient times, he had to overcome several challenges that would defeat any other ordinary man. So naturally he has to become the incompetent idiot clown in the cheap comedy movie several centuries later. I would not be the least bit surprised if the spirits of our ancestors would come down to Earth one day to terrorize us like Indian ghosts do to people who build their homes on their burial grounds. We already had the pleasure of meeting Tom Gerhardt, so I won't go into much detail here. If you want a full story, watch my review of Completely Normal, Ballermann 6 and Supercops. Just a quick fun fact that I found out when I recently googled him. Did you know he was one of the zombies in one of the Resident Evil movies? That's as if Terry Crews was the chainsaw murderer in a horror movie that is not meant as tongue-in-cheek. I can't take the Resident Evil movie series even less serious now. How is that even possible?
This is borderline experimental.
Anyway, let's waste no more time and watch a movie together. We begin the movie on a bloody battlefield with tons of corpses. And these 5 seconds were already a better fantasy epos than Uwe Boll's In the Name of the King. A single lonely baby in a basket goes down the river. Of course! Moses was German and the pyramids were built here, not by aliens. This is the missing link Bible historians were looking for. We quickly learn that this is no ordinary child, but one with uber-human strength. This is either a very interesting reinterpretation of Superman, or what will be left after Kratos is done with all the Nordic gods. The young boy is found by a blacksmith who decides to bring him to his village. Why do I get the feeling that what we were shown on the battlefield was just that what was left after breakfast? On the plus side, he already has a guaranteed career as a surgeon specializing in breast removal. Now the blacksmith realizes that the kid could kill someone if he does little more than just cough at someone. So he chose the most humane option available, using him as a slave for a spinning wheel, Conan the Barbarian style. Convinced that the child who he named Siegfried is way too dangerous, he brings him into the woods. After all, he should be able to take care of himself. After what you just showed us, I'm pretty convinced that he is going to be the monster in the stories little rabbit mummies tell their young before they go to bed. By the way, the blacksmith goes by the name of Mime, which I first spelled as meme. And now I can't help but think that even our earliest ancestors were somehow memers. Siegfried grows up to become the most strongest person around, much to his own disadvantage.
Was geht? Was geht? Kann ich mitmachen?
How do you do, fellow kids?
Having no human friends, Siegfried turns to the animals as his companions, whose language he can speak, one of which is a little pig. Wonderful, now I will get a copyright claim from the makers of this movie and that of Babe. One fine day, Siegfried takes a walk in the woods where he discovers a princess. Need help, princess? Siegfried now has a new goal in life, which is to win over the heart of the princess. His best friend tells him that if he wants to make the princess fall in love with him, he needs to learn how to kiss. So he tells him he needs to pretend that his butt cheeks was her face.
You just kissed Jake's butt.
What?
And next time I will teach you how to tongue kiss. One night our soon-to-be legend dreams of a bad drawing he made from the princess telling him that he needs to come and find her. His adopted father, who wanted his son to move out for a while now, takes advantage of the situation and gives him the advice to comply with what the woman was asking for. The journey begins, and with the help of his animal friends showing him the way, he eventually finds the castle. Siegfried accidentally breaks the door of the gate and is forced to work in the castle's kitchen. Little Piggy followed him here and immediately gets chased by the royal butcher. They escape with the help of one of the servants named Anita.
Anita, darling!
But they end up nowhere safe. They arrive in the arena where the princess is watching, who obviously has no interest in Siegfried, but all the more to the man who was fighting there before. A fight is declared to determine who will take the princess's hand. How primitive and barbaric. Luckily we don't have such abhorrent practices anymore that reduce people to nothing more than a piece of meat that you choose on the market.
Good evening, ladies.
At first it seems as if the opponent could win very easily, but Siegfried simply acts stupid and doesn't give him the finishing move right away. Instead we get the typical overused joke of, "See how strong he is so strong, told you he was strong." The princess helps her preferred victor out by using a cheap trick to distract Siegfried, which the other fighter, who goes by the name Hagen, uses to knock him on his head. The brother of the princess who rules the kingdom, not her father, what does that make him, the bro king, decides that Siegfried can be killed right here and now by showing thumbs down, making all historians watching this film go into a rage with foam on their mouth. They didn't actually do that in the arena. They didn't even know what this gesture means. A cricket voiced by Otto Walkes, who also did the voice of Mushu, shows up giving Ziggy a pep talk, until he gets crushed under Hagen's boot. Are you not entertained? Because there are no refunds. Siegfried goes berserk and tears Hagen a new one. The princess tells her brother that not in a million years she is going to marry that buffoon, so her best friend in blood comes up with an idea. Siegfried can marry his sister, but of course a princess deserves only rings made from the purest of gold, which our hero is told he can find in the Rhine River. Hagen sends his minion to let Siegfried walk into a death trap. Said trap is a dragon cave, but out of sheer dumb luck, well, what about this guy isn't, the dragon gets knocked out. Many of you are going to say that that shadow is just a cheap trick to avoid actually having to make a dragon. And you are right. Even more lucky for our dear Siegfried, since this was a dragon, he also had a treasure. With the rings in hand, our hero leaves the cave. The desperate henchman guy calls his boss with a pigeon and they have a phone conversation. What? Are pigeons somehow hyper-intelligent telepathic beings? Maybe these birds are the true masters of this world and we are their slaves. After all, we give them food to multiply endlessly, even though they are essentially the rats of the sky. Is that their power over us at work? Why are you making me paranoid about pigeons, movie? The henchman is ordered to kill Siegfried himself, so he takes him to a tavern to celebrate his bachelor party and tries to kill him with a boulder.
I threw a rock at him.
No, nothing great like that. Instead we have a scene where we all know that the other dude is going to get a rock on his head instead of Siegfried, which goes on forever. But eventually he does get smashed and the tavern owner gets eaten alive by the dragon, who is on the hunt for her egg Siegfried took with him. But I've gotta say, the legend did not lie. He brings death and destruction wherever he goes. So now Siegfried and the princess get married.
Look carefully at the "I really wish I weren't here right now" button.
I noticed also, which is the only thing that made me laugh in this film, that the priest only asked Siegfried if he wants to marry. I don't get it. Why do people want to abolish the patriarchy? It's pretty awesome. For us. Penis havers, that is. But that was only a nightmare of Her Highness. Instead, they sent Siegfried on another pointless quest, so they have another chance to kill him. In a conversation, the princess, who a minute ago would have rather died than marry Siegfried, realizes that if he has the rings, he also must have the rest of the dragon's treasure. So she takes the fastest horse in the kingdom and off she goes. Huh, she is a literal gold digger. Ziggy is then killed, death through betrayal by someone he thought to be his friend. And this is how the actual legend goes, but since this is a light-hearted family film and all, we rewind and change the hero's fate. What happens instead is that his pig friend is being killed in his place. When you're done, are you going to eat that? Excuse me, some of us like it medium. No, Piggy was never dead in the first place. Just an asshole. A useless asshole who makes dumb, cringy comments the entire movie and only arrives to warn Siegfried about dangers that have already been overcome. I hate this character. The two not at all meant for each other people marry for real this time. Siegfried gives his almost wife the dragon egg, which then hatches. After telling her that he threw away the rest of the treasure, which he only saw as rubbish, the princess shows her true, greedy, awful face. She grabs the dragon baby and wants to suffocate it, much to dismay of everyone in the room, even Hagen and her brother. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Veggie Kingdom. So they fight over the rubber toy for a few minutes until his mummy shows up, which is revealed to only have a very imposing shadow. Everyone laughs, forgetting that dragons can do the fire thing, so she grills the princess. Are you going to eat that? Anita, the kitchen servant, gives her the baby back and then she and Siegfried kiss, having zero, and I mean zero chemistry before that. What, did she watch him making that apple juice and think, it was like as if I was staring into the eyes of God? It would have made as much sense as if he had married the woman whose tits he sucked out in the beginning. But the good news is that it was later revealed that he was transgender, so you made that journey a lot easier for him. Thank you for that. And so the lovers walk into the sunset and the movie ends having neither grown as a person or learned a thing or overcome a serious challenge. The best kind of hero's journey. This was awful. This was awful, awful, awful. They should write a legendary tale about me for having endured this piece of shit. The worst thing first. Tom Gerhardt essentially plays Tommy from Completely Normal all over again, and I thought I was finally rid of him. Although I have to admit here he is not as obnoxious and hateable, probably because Mario isn't around, he is still as stupid. In the beginning of the film I had some hope that this could actually be good, because the joke was on how stupid he is. But then the jokes themselves became stupid, needing an even stupider audience for it. It became predictable and lame very quick. And yes, it's difficult to come up with intelligent stupid guy jokes, but clearly they are not even trying here. Every one of the characters speaks in a specific German dialect that some find amusing, but I always had hated. And I'm not alone. Then there is the pig, which is spoken by a kid, and you can hear that the little guy is very enthusiastic. And in a better film it would have worked to make him sympathetic towards me, but this movie is not. By God, do his commentaries get on my nerves. I hated it so much that I'm going to eat nothing but pig meat for the next 30 months. Even if I end up in a hospital several dozens of times. None of this is really Tom Gerhardt's fault. He simply created a character once that should have died a long time ago. By which I mean in the 90s, the moment he was birthed. It's the type of movie 4th graders would come up with. Nothing about this works. It doesn't work as an epic hero's journey, it doesn't work as a love story, it certainly doesn't work as a comedy. It's just an assembly of lukewarm entertaining gags at best. and at worst an annoyance like a pimple that you get rid of and then quickly forget. Yeah, it sucks. The German guy out and auf Wiedersehen.